Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of After the Smoke Clears. My name is Mark, and guess what? I am flying solo this week. Levi had some prior commitments, and he couldn't be with us this week, but I told him, I said, no problem, I'll take care of it. So, on this week's episode, we are going to be looking at a very, very unique vehicle. This thing is so unique, I'm not even going to tell you anything about it before we get started. I'm going to let you be surprised when we see it. But I will tell you about the guy. His name is Joel Pills, and I'll tell you a little bit about what he does and what he's got going on. So stick around because it's coming at you right now. As promised, I am going to introduce you to a guy named Joel Pills. Now, this guy owns a body shop, J&D Enterprises, located in Lockport, Illinois. If you are looking to get some auto body repair done, Joel's your guy. Don't forget. He also is one of the organizers of the Delwood Park Car Show that takes place every year. Year before last, I was there with my son. There was about 700 cars there. It was unbelievable. It was like a huge gathering of the coolest cars you've ever seen. And it's like a full day of walking around looking at the coolest cars ever. So I'm going to read this little flyer. I'll put the flyer at the end of the video so you guys can see it in case I missed anything. But it is called the Will County Auto Rebuilders Car Show. It's a swap meet and they got a lot of crafts. It is Sunday, August 15th. At 8 a.m. at Delwood Park, which is 199 East Woods Drive in Lockport, Illinois. Listen, they're going to have a beer garden. They got lots of food. The food is fantastic. It's free to get in, and there is going to be a ton of cars. And all the proceeds go to benefit the Delwood Foundation. So you guys check this out. Like I said, I'll put the video flyer at the end of the video. Just in case I missed something, you guys can read it right off of that. So here we go. This is Joel.
My name is Joel Pills. This is my 1948, 74, etc. AM General mail truck. My very first car was a 1955 Dodge that was wrecked, paid $15 for it. I put a 56 Chrysler front end on it. After I had that for about a year, I sold it and bought a 64 Ford. Had that for about a year. Then I bought a 69 Camaro. Had that for about a year till I got drafted. When I was in the service, came out, I bought a 67 Olds 442 and hundreds of cars since then. I also own a 1931 Chevy 5-window coupe. It's got a small block Chevy in it with a blower and Weber carburetors. I built that car starting in about 1989 on it. Still have it currently today, drive it all the time on it. That's the only other car that I have running outside of this one. We're still working on this. It's getting very close, so we'll hopefully have it out this summer. This particular vehicle, what happened was I was in Des Moines, Iowa at a car show, at the Good Guys car show, and there was a late model mail truck came through and it had a 502 in it. And I said, oh, that's cool. So I talked to my friends on it. I said, I'd like to build one, but I want one of the old mail trucks. Well, lo and behold, about 2 weeks later, one of my friends came up and asked me if I was still interested. I said, yes, I am. And he says, well, good, because I've got one on my flatbed truck and I'm heading to your shop. So that's what started this, the first one. And then my employee found one down in Essex. We bought that one. We found another one stuck out here in the weeds. And we just kept taking parts off of them and buying a lot of sheet metal and odds and end pieces. And this is what evolved. The front end of this car is a 48 from about the cowl forward is from 48. The cowl section and roof is off of about a 74 AM General. The back half of the car is just a lot of sheet metal that we put together on it and made. The floor and everything we made on it. The front suspension is a Heights Super Ride on it. The rear suspension is a Dana 60 with a high gear in it. The motor is a small block Chevy on it with a blower and of course Weber carburetors. I kind of like Weber carburetors. They're easier for me to tune, and I've had enough of them. I know how to work with them, so I like them. They look good too. Well, we had to actually make a intake manifold adapter plate to go from this blower to the rest of the engine. So we made that, and then we also had to make the plate to put the carburetors to the blower. Plus, I made my own air cleaners. A lot of little brackets and pieces on the motor. Seems like I was always at a machine shop, you know, working on stuff there. I think I took one whole winter just making parts. Not had it running that long. I mean, I've had it running in here. I got it out into the parking lot and proceeded to run out of gas out in the parking lot, so we pushed it back in here. As far as we've gotten so far. The interior is pretty basic. It's stock. The seats came from a friend of mine. He had them in his 37 Ford, and we took them apart and dyed them and put them back in. Denise picked out the colors on it. I don't pick out colors. I'm partially colorblind, so I don't pick out any colors. It's just like the color of the outside of the vehicle. It's basically white, but it's got 3 colors of ice pearl in it. It's got red, blue, and silver ice pearl in the clear coat. The Mars light on the roof is an original piece. It was on the mail trucks back in the day. That's what they had out there. So I decided to save that. We also saved, there's a fan on the inside here that we managed to save, and it works. So we saved as much as we could of some of the original pieces, like the turn signals there, we saved those. I've got the original mirrors, which we have to put on yet. A few things like that we've saved, just to keep as much of the originality as we could. Oh yeah, I'm planning on driving this everywhere I can. This thing is going to go as, you know, I'm probably taking a lot of local stuff to begin with on it and shake out the bugs, and then I'm going to drive it as much as I can until we wear the tires out and put more tires on it. Well, the rear tires on here are Mickey Thompson's on it. They actually came with the rear end. I bought a used rear end, and these tires were on it. I'm going to have to change them because they're pretty old at this point, and they're dry rotted on the sides. So I'm still looking for tires. I just got to talk my wife into letting me buy new tires. They're not cheap. And the front wheels, I saw these front wheels. I really can't remember well. I want to say I was in Louisville, and I kind of like these wheels. So we bought these and put tires on them and slapped them on here. The roll bar was in another Jeep that we had found. And we cut the roll bar out of that, and it says it'll fit real good in here. So we put it in here, cut it down a little bit, and put a roll bar in this. And I figured I want to be somewhat safe, because this thing is about as unsafe as you can get, I would think, with the short wheelbase and being as narrow as it is. So having a wheel bar or a roll cage in here was the safer thing to do. It's just like the seat belts. I have a 5-point harness on the driver's side. We haven't made wheelie bars yet because we don't know how to hook them up. There's not a lot of room left back there to hook anything up, so that's still under the scratch our heads design phase of that on it. But it's going to definitely need something back there, because this is not going to go straight. It's going to be a wild one. Nobody has really come out and says you need to do this, that, or the other thing. 99% of all of this was my own stupid ideas, because you know, I'll sit up at night and get a harebrained idea. Hey, this will look good, or this will work, and then I'll go out and start looking for parts and pieces and just build what I like. Okay, what we did here on the door is actually 3 doors to make one. We took, none of the doors that we had were in good shape, so we sliced and diced and took 3 doors to make 1 door. The back here had a window where the eagle is. I didn't like the looks of that, so we filled in where the eagle is. We tubbed the back to put the big meats underneath it. All these tail lamps are LEDs, and I saw a place, I liked these particular LEDs, so we fabricated and put them in. The roof is the original roof. That's your air conditioning.
Right, that's how you get the air out of the back.
Yeah. The wheel tubs in there we made from scratch. The battery box there is one that I picked up from a friend of mine that couldn't use it. The little plate right in the middle of the floor is actually one of my wife's old pots and pans that she was throwing out. So we just cut it apart. That actually hides the sending unit for the gas tank. If you look up in the roof, you can see the fan for the air conditioning.
What gear did you put in that?
This has a 546 rear gear.
What?
It's got a 546 rear gear in it. When I bought this rear end, it was actually in a Nova that was wrecked. And there was 3 of us that bought the Nova. I wound up with the rear end, and I was told that it was a drag car. I didn't know at that time, though, that it was an 8th mile drag car. So that's why it had the big, tall rear end in it. Dashboard we made, it's just a piece of stock steel that we bent up. The gauges are autometer gauges. I just kind of like that design of the autometer gauges, so we put that in. It's a push button start, just like on the new cars. The steering column is an I Did It steering column. The steering wheel, I think, is off of a Camaro. I'm not 100% positive. It kind of looks like a Camaro to me. Hi, my name is Joel Pills, and this is my 1948, 74, etc. AM General mail truck, and that's why I'm a car guy.